So as you see, we're going to record this session. Thanks, Leanne. Just so that we can post this information out to the opportunity for those that aren't able to attend tonight's session, they can have access to all the same information that we're going to present tonight. So I'm going to start just with a quick introduction here. My name is Carl LeClaire. I'm the public art supervisor here for cultural arts at the city of Hillsboro. I work here at the Walters Cultural Arts Center. So if you're ever in Hillsboro, please stop by and say hi. Check out the exhibits we have. Within the public art program, my colleague Leanne Alsop is also joining here. She's very generously helping to coordinate everything on the back end, letting you into the session and helping to field questions, and will be working with me to review applications and work with hopefully all of you who join us on the roster here. So tonight's session, we're going to talk about the mural artist roster that we've opportunity that we've just posted. I'm really excited to be able to present this opportunity and also to be here to share some more details and make ourselves available for questions and thoughts and concerns about the opportunity. I've just, for those of you who probably are more familiar with the public art program, I've just joined the team. I'm approaching a year. I came here in September. And I've just been very excited to be here working in the program and getting to know the area, having the opportunity to meet some of you here. And I've been focusing on trying to update the mural program here. We're also currently working on some changes to the permit application approval process, which we hope to be able to roll out pretty soon, which in tandem with this roster opportunity, I hope will sort of encourage and incentivize more investment here in Hillsboro and murals, and bring some more attention to the public art program. So to get started, I'm going to kind of jump right into an overview of the opportunity. So I'm going to kind of walk through the call, talk about how it's intended to be used. Then we'll go through some instructions on how to fill out the application and be successful in that process. And then we'll open up the session for questions. But as I said, the chat function's open. So if you want to drop questions in there while I'm moving through the presentation, that's totally fine. And just a couple housekeeping things. If you could all just mute yourselves while we're moving through the presentation, and then we can open it up again at the end there. So I'm going to share my screen and just pull up the site so we can look at where you can access the information. I assume you've all been here since you're here tonight, but we'll jump into that. All right, can everyone see the Parks and Rec website here? Maybe just a thumbs up. Leanne, can you see that? Okay, great. So just generally, the opportunities page here under the Parks and Rec website, it's listed under the public art page. So if you just search public art Hillsboro, it'll take you right to our page, and the link to the opportunities is there. This is a great resource. I encourage you all to visit this page frequently. If you haven't signed up for our newsletter, do that, because we always announce any opportunities as they're coming out. And here we're hosting the mural roster call. I would also just like to share that we have some other opportunities. There's another mural or another public art opportunity that we're working in partnership with Tualatin Valley Creates. And then I would also point towards the selection panel. So if you're interested in being a part of selection committees for other public art projects, and to get a sort of sense of how that process works, it's a really great opportunity, and I'd love to hear your voices as part of those panels. So to get into the mural roster, some of you are probably familiar with rosters. The Regional Arts and Culture Council has hosted one for a number of years, and it's been a great regional resource. But we have come into a number of situations where it would be really helpful for us here at the City of Hillsboro to have a roster to help connect community members with artists who have skills in making murals. And so that's exactly how we intend this roster to be used, is not only will it allow us to be a little bit more flexible and efficient with selecting artists for opportunities that come up here internally, but we'll also share it with essentially anyone who approaches us and asks us if we have resources for working with artists. And so it gives us I think a transparent way of being able to select artists or share names of artists who have the skills that maybe a school is asking, or a developer, or a business who wants to bring a mural into their space. So we really see this as a really useful community tool here in Hillsboro. And so that's we'll talk a little bit about more like the eligibility, but that's why we look to keep the opportunity open to artists within 200 miles of Hillsboro. Because we want, especially if we're connecting with a local business, we want sort of an artist who's easily available, isn't going to have to travel potentially too far to come here, and will be accessible to our community here. So the landing page here just has some general information about the opportunity, and more information is located here in the links. And even if you're not going to fill out the online form, I'm going to start here and kind of talk through this form because it hosts a little bit more information than the fillable PDF. And so for those of you who have applied to our calls in the past, you may notice that the opportunity is structured a little bit differently. So we're making just a few changes to help organize the information here. Hopefully it's a little bit more easy to navigate at first glance. And so we have the application deadline at the August 22nd at 5 p.m. So that's a pretty firm deadline. So please make sure that you're trying to get your application in just ahead of that, so that we can, if we see issues that come in, we can always notify you that you've missed something, or there's some issue that might disqualify you from the opportunity. If you get it in right on the deadline, we'll unfortunately have some difficulty in sharing that feedback with you. The budget, you'll see we don't have a budget specifically identified for this opportunity, but as we talk through the process, that'll be kind of on a to be determined basis as individual project opportunities come up. As I mentioned, 200 miles, it's open to artists living within 200 miles of Hillsboro. And that was meant to be able to include artists down in Eugene, out in Bend, and then up into southwestern Washington. So it kind of gives us a bit more of a regional focus for this roster. And so also on the eligibility front, we're looking for, we're pretty open to, we want to be able to provide just this resource for the community. And so even if you haven't completed a traditional mural per se, but are trying to work towards gaining opportunities in murals, we want to be able to include you on the roster. So I'll talk a little bit more about the submitting images and what types of work examples you should submit based on your level of experience. The location details, again, this is kind of a to be determined basis, but we are working currently with our colleagues in the planning department to update the definition of a mural in Hillsboro. And currently it's pretty broad, and so it can include kind of a variety of media and can be applied to essentially any vertical surface. So retaining walls, building walls, fences, if there's material, like a substrate applied to a fence. So we're trying to think as broadly as we can about what a mural is and how these opportunities might be presented to artists. We're always going to put out a kind of a generalized timeline for the process. Just harp on the application deadline, August 22nd. We're hoping to get questions in if you have questions about the application process or about the information that you're submitting. We hope to get those questions in by August 12th, as that'll help us document the questions, put answers together, and then make those answers available to everyone. Again, just trying to keep information consistent as we present it to everyone. We anticipate having a selection committee sometime late August or into September. and trying to finalize the roster by October. And the final roster will essentially be a listing of all of the artists who've been selected and with their contact information, examples of artwork. So it's kind of a prepackaged tool that we can just hand out to community members or to share with. If we have internal opportunities come up, we can use it to find the right artist for the project opportunity that we have. We hope to make, as future opportunities come out through the public art program, we hope to continue with application workshops, just so we have this opportunity to meet with artists who are interested in applying and answer questions and just share more information about how to be successful in the application process. A little bit of background here, the mural program here in Hillsboro was began in 2014. And the teams here in the city had a really sort of progressive vision to untie murals from the city sign code. And that essentially gave the authority to the public art program to review murals and approve them in I think, a much more simple and efficient process. And at the end of the session, I'll just go back out and share the details of the current mural process, but also note that we're working on some changes that will hopefully make it easier, especially for artists to apply for. The desired outcome section, in future calls, this will always be an area where we can talk about the types of artists that we're looking for. And so here, like, as I mentioned, we're looking for a broad sort of variety of styles and media and experience levels to include in this roster, because the opportunities could come up for artists to work with kids or, you know, through a school opportunity, or we might have a really fast moving timeline with like a developer who needs an artist to work pretty quickly and efficiently, and they're probably going to be looking for someone with maybe more experience. So I think there's space for, I think, every level of artist, given their experience with murals. And so if you are sort of an emerging level artist and don't have a huge portfolio of completed murals or any completed murals, think about submitting examples of your work that display your experience in painting and large scale paintings or large scale mosaics, or how your artwork can be successful in a large format display. Because we also accept reproductions such as like vinyl banners or other means of reproducing artwork in a large scale for murals. The selection committee. So we always pull together. We have the Hillsboro Arts and Culture Council has a standing public art committee, and you can find information about that membership on our website as well. But for every single opportunity, we bring in a unique makeup for that committee. And we try to include an artist. So again, if you want to be a part of that process, I'd encourage you to sign up or reach out. I think it's a really valuable process to go through if you're an artist, because it gives some insight into, what maybe non-artist panel members are thinking, how they look at applications, the types of feedback that they're providing to us and the other committee members. So we'll have an artist on that panel. We'll also have some general community members, along with our Arts and Culture Commission, our council members. And they'll be tasked with reviewing the applications and helping to select the artists that will be included on the roster. Getting into the application instructions and requirements, we're hoping to keep this fairly straightforward, but detailed enough so that when a community member is reviewing the roster, they have enough information from you to determine if you're going to be a good fit for the project or not. And so first and foremost, contact information. So as much of that information that you can share with us as possible is helpful, and making sure that it's up to date and relevant helps, so that someone can pick up the phone and get a hold of you. The artist statement and bio, we want to keep this kind of very strictly related to your mural work. So if you have a broader arts practice that focuses on sculpture or other media, that's good to know that you have those skills, but try to cater the statement to your experience in either large scale painting or in mural making, because that'll, again, sort of help sell you to any potential community members who want to work with you. For the statement and bio, it's best to keep that on one page, because as we're compiling the roster, we're going to keep each artist profile essentially to a single page with the artist statement, bio, and work samples and contact information. So keeping it concise will also help in the review process and hopefully help encourage community members to work with you. For the portfolio past work examples, so we're looking up to 6 images. If you feel like you don't have 6 strong images to represent your portfolio or your work, don't feel like you have to force more work samples into the submission. I think oftentimes when working with committees, it's pretty obvious when artists have maybe 4 really good images and then 2 that maybe aren't as strong. So think really critically about which works you want to put forward and which works are really going to speak to the quality of the work that you're going to create if you're selected for a project. The other thing I think for the work samples is to think about if you have like maybe multiple threads of work or like a broad variety of content that you've incorporated into murals or sort of styles that you work in, think about sort of pairing those maybe in like different bodies of work. So within those 6 images, if you have maybe 2 distinct bodies of work, use 3 images for one and 3 images for the other. I think that's an easy way for a committee to understand that you can work in some different styles, or if you work like figuratively and abstractly and also in landscape, then split it up. And then you can use the image list, which we're asking for titles, materials, dimension, year completed. The additional comment section is super important here. And so this is your opportunity to bring your voice into that review process for the panel. And in the additional comments, you can say that, these are examples of my figurative mural work, or these are examples of my landscape-based work. Or you can talk about the different types of clients that you worked with, if it was a commission project, or if it's a self-initiated part of your studio practice. Use that additional comment section is super important because it helps the committee sort of gain some insight into your practice, into your process, and helps them better understand the images that you're submitting. And I think I've always seen that section of the application can help clarify questions. It can help approve artists into opportunities and help sway the decision of the selection committees. So don't overlook that section, because I think it's really super valuable. And looking at the instructions are there for how to format your images, JPEG images, the size constraints. Those really help us to be able to manage the applications, but also to format the images into the final roster that we're going to create to make available to the community. And here we're in the Cognito form. So this is the online application process. I personally think this is easier to fill out, but I'll go through the fillable form that you can print out and mail in as well, or hand deliver here to the Walters. So the form is very straightforward and it doesn't let you make mistakes. So I also like that too. We've noted all of the required sections here with the little red star. So if you don't fill those out, you can't submit your application. If you do have website, social media, that's super helpful too. We'll include that information. So any potential project partners have access to see the rest of your portfolio, or to follow you and share your information with all their friends. For all the required materials, again, the statement and bio, you can drag and drop it here, upload it from your computer. Again, for all the required pieces and parts of the application, this form really helps to ensure that you get everything put together. And then just like a little survey at the end to understand how you heard about it. I'm going to go back out real quick and just show the fillable PDF, and then we can jump into questions. So the fillable PDF, it has doesn't have as much information as the full form does, but just has the requirements for the application. So I won't walk through those again, but it gives you information here that save your documents in a doc file or a PDF format. PDF is always nice because it ensures that no one can get in there and change any information, or there's no corruption in the files. And you can print out all these files. You can save them to a thumb drive, and then you can either mail them or hand deliver them here. And it's just important to note that we have to receive those. If you're going to mail them, if you're going to hand deliver them, we need to receive those materials by 5 p.m. on August 22nd. So please ensure that if you're mailing it, it's gonna arrive by that time. Contact information here for me. Please reach out if you have questions. If you're uncertain about anything, if you're having issues with the form, I'm here to help and I'm happy to chat. And I would love to talk to you about how to help you be successful in this process. The fillable form here just has contact information to fill out. So use this form along with your own personal formatted statement, bio, image list, images, and everything. Let's see, hop back out here. So that's kind of the gist of it. I guess the one piece that I didn't talk about is the way that we're going to continue to refresh this opportunity. And so this is our first take at creating the roster. We're going to assess how the opportunity will be used over the next year. And if we need to, we'll sort of update the process. But we anticipate that this will be sort of an ongoing opportunity so that you can apply to the opportunity, become part of the roster, and then we hope to open it up for more artists to join, or if you need to remove yourself or update your contact information or your portfolio, we'll be rolling out opportunities for that to happen over time as well. Because we want this to be a living document. We want it to be a useful tool, and we want it to be beneficial for you as well, so that you can continue to represent your current work. If you gain other mural opportunities, after you apply and become part of the roster, you'll have the opportunity to update your information and share your new work. So we'll have more information coming out in the next year to update that information and or opt out if you feel like it's not a good opportunity for you, or you are unable to take on mural projects. That's fine too. We really want this to be beneficial in helping to connect you with opportunities. Leanne, I'm going to just invite you to jump in if I missed anything or if you have any additional comments.
I think you covered everything, Carl. The one thing I'd like to just focus on again is when you are submitting your documents, please, please, please do it in either a Microsoft Word document or a PDF. I know a lot of us as artists really like our MacBooks, but unfortunately we do not have the capability of reading anything from Pages or any other operating system. So if you want us to be able to read your documents, we really need those in those formats. I often have to ask people to send new ones, so please make it easy. Aside from that, like Carl said, with the image list, that is a super, super important section that I find often gets missed on applications. People don't see it as important. So I'm just going to reiterate what you said, Carl, that is a really important section that actually helps people who are reviewing your work to understand exactly what you're bringing to the table.
Thanks, Leanne. So I know there's a lot of information, but we're happy to stay until we answer everyone's questions. And I see a few coming in, so I'm going to field the ones that I see in the chat right now. And then moving forward, if you want to if you want to raise your hand, if you want to jump in, if you want to put your question in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with, happy to accommodate. So thanks, Alex, for your question. Once this roster has been created, how often will the roster be updated? Will we be notified to update our portfolio over time? Do we have to reapply each year? That's a great question. And something that we're still working to figure out the process on, but I anticipate that we're going to keep sort of communications with the roster open throughout the time frame of the roster, and I think allow everyone to update the roster at least annually, if not maybe a little bit more frequently. But I think annually is our goal at this point. So we'll both we're anticipating opening the roster call again in a year, so that new artists can apply, and then also have the opportunity for current roster artists to update their information. All right. Does that answer your question, Alex? Okay, great. Next question. Thanks for this one. Question that I've been addressed. Okay, if you're an artist, amateur muralist, what are the odds your portfolio could be considered? And then I haven't had the opportunity to create a full mural yet. So I think I spoke about this a little bit in the beginning, but I would like to clarify that if you are an artist who doesn't have a portfolio of completed murals, we would still like you to apply. And especially if you're really aspiring to be qualified for mural opportunities, I think this is a great opportunity for you, because the worst that can happen is that your artwork gets out in front of people who might be interested in your work or hire you for a project. And so I think if you don't have the depth of mural projects in your portfolio, think about ways that you can display your skills in painting in large scale, or how you're going to reproduce your artwork in a larger scale. Because again, this your artwork could be connected with opportunities where, let's say a business owner wants to hire artists to create temporary vinyl banners. Your artwork is going to be a great fit for that, because they can hire you to reproduce a small scale painting in a large scale. And so I wouldn't feel maybe threatened by the idea of like a traditional mural. We're hoping, again, to just use this as a tool to connect artists with opportunities, primarily kind of two-dimensional opportunities that come up throughout the city of Hillsboro. If that was your question, did that help to clarify? I hope so. If you need follow-up, please jump in. I see. Okay, Marina, you raised your hand.
Yes. So I am a sculptress, but I have some problems with my hands. I hurt the ligaments, so it's kind of heavy to work with sculpture. And I'm thinking that I may try mural painting. So I have some history of working with sculpture, and I still hope to keep working with it. I haven't yet, I don't even know how to paint a mural, but I have done some small paintings, but never a mural, but that's something that I want to explore. So should I wait for next year roster and maybe work on a series of small pieces so I have some work to show, or what do you advise?
That's a good question. I guess that kind of depends on your comfort level, and what you have prepared for your portfolio right now. I think if you have a solid, portfolio of painted works or works that could be translated into a larger scale opportunity or into a mural, then I think you're welcome to apply. But and then also, like, would you be prepared? I guess for everyone to sort of ask themselves, would you be prepared to take on a project if you were contacted? Of course, that the relationship, especially between community members, businesses, developers, if they reach out to you, that's totally up to you to determine whether you're available, if it's the right opportunity for you. This by no means commits you to taking on a project. So I'd encourage you to be critical too, if you are contacted, to understand what budget they're offering you, what are the working conditions, is it a fair opportunity, do you feel like you're being compensated appropriately? So I think that's a good question. I think that comes from my perspective is a little bit more personal in terms of identifying whether you're ready for the opportunity or not. If you do have a portfolio of works that you feel are a good fit that you would want to put out there, then I would encourage you to apply. And like I said, the worst that can happen is your work is put in front of people that maybe you've never met before, or that might have other ways of seeing an opportunity for you or your work.
But if I don't, I just have like a couple of two small paintings, but I do have my sculpture work and some go on the wall. Would it be still okay to send my information? Even I am aware that I will be taken in consideration for murals since I'm not painting yet murals. Or should I guess in my case, I should wait for next year.
Well, if you have a portfolio of like wall displayed sculptures, or like low relief, or something like that, I mean, that's the panel, I think, will ultimately make decisions as to who will be a good fit. But I can see that it might be a nice variety to have some low relief sculpture as part of it, because again, it's we don't know what kinds of requests we'll get in terms of using this roster. So yeah, I think I would encourage you to apply. I'd love to see your work personally.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I've never done a mural myself. I've been involved in working on a few, like on a team of people, kind of laying it out and painting. I do have a lot of different artwork, so I really need to focus on like taking quality photos of them. I usually take them when I'm done, in my messy art room, and hooray, I'm done. And that's the most I've photographed them. Would this roster also, like if I was called on and my application was approved to do a mural, I'd kind of be in the same boat. Am I prepared? I feel capable that I might be, but would this also allow us to be part of like a roster if there was a mural and artists who were called on to create a big piece wanted some people to help out? Would we have access to participating?
That is a fantastic question. Yeah, thank you for putting that forward. Certainly, I think that first I want to address your statement about helping other artists, and I think that it's acceptable to use examples of projects that you've been a part of, or that you've collaborated with on, or that you've helped to implement, and use that additional comment section in the image list to note that I was part of a team of artists that helped to complete this mural, or I was a support artist for this artist who was a lead on the mural. So make sure that, I think it's acceptable to use maybe works that it wasn't your creative vision, but that you helped to paint, as long as you're giving that lead artist credit, and just clarifying what your role was. I see that a lot in applications, and I think that's perfectly acceptable to help balance out some of your original works. And then to the question about using the roster to help other artists find artists to help support them. Yes, that's definitely something that we're interested in using the roster for, because there will be opportunities that come up that are going to be large commissions for artists, and especially if an artist is traveling, from out of town, they're going to look for regionally located artists to help support those projects. So that, I think it'll be a powerful tool as well for helping to connect artists with artists.
Cool. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks for that question. Please jump in if you have other questions. I also wanted to take another moment to talk about I think that was a nice sort of statement about the images of your artworks. And so really do take as high quality images as you can of your artwork, and really focus just on the artwork. I think murals, of course, are the site is very important, or the context of the site I think can be important to help understand scale and how it fits in with the context of the location. But really just try to focus on documenting the artwork itself, and take away anything that might distract the committee members from understanding the work. So a lot of times we see like artists who like to pose with their artworks, or put the artwork in some other setting and include contextual elements. I would try to steer away from that and really highlight the work itself. And then also to clarify, if you feel like you need to use like details of murals to highlight the type of texture you're achieving, or the type of sort of paint handling or material handling, that's acceptable, but you have to include those within your 6 images. So if you have a really large mural with a lot of detail in it and you want to focus in on a couple of those details, that's fine, but you'll have to include those in your full list of images. I think I answered that, Alex. Well, it was good timing, huh? But I'll just read it real quick. If the mural is super long, it's more effective to submit key parts of the mural and include a very long image. So yes, you could use one mural and use 6 images. If it's a really large mural, you could use your 6 images to highlight different sections of it, to show how you're addressing areas of detail or various aspects of maybe there's figures placed in a landscape and you want to highlight both landscape elements and the figures.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, any other questions out there? And of course, as soon as we end the session, of course, there's going to be questions that come up. So please take advantage. My contact information is out there. I'm happy to pick up the phone. I'm happy to schedule a time to chat virtually or just respond through email. So whatever works best for you. Yeah, please use Leanne and I as a resource, because we're here to help all of you. Thanks, Liam, for your question. So you said I paint signs, interior and exterior murals, which is best to submit images of. I think I think a variety would be great. And I think this is good for everyone to consider too, that we're gonna have community members approach us with the opportunity to paint, a wall inside of a restaurant, or a wall inside of the lobby of an apartment building, or inside of a school. And we're also going to have opportunities for large scale outdoor projects. So if you do have examples of both, I think both would be good, because especially if a community member is looking specifically for interior examples, they're probably going to latch on to the project examples that you submit from the interior projects, and vice versa. And again, I think using sort of that balance of your image samples to help display the variety of works is in your best interest. Welcome. Well, I want to I want to be mindful of everyone's time, and it appears that we don't have any more questions for right now. So I'm happy that we're able to kind of cover everything and answer questions in a sort of short time frame, so everyone can get back to the busyness of whatever you have going on, hopefully making art. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate seeing everyone's faces, and hopefully, we can maybe do something like this again, maybe in person, get together. If I haven't met you before, I'd love to meet you, love to learn more about your work. And like I said, we're over here at the Walters Cultural Arts Center. We're on Main Street in Hillsboro. Stop by. We have gallery exhibits here and all kinds of fun things happening here in the building. And I'm very much looking forward to getting this roster off the ground. Like I said, we've had requests coming in, and we're really in need of developing this tool for everyone to use. So please reach out if you have additional questions. And I look forward to seeing all of your applications coming in soon. Any final thoughts or questions before we sign off?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.